We all know that a steady stream of great clients is the lifeblood of your law practice. But what do you do when you find yourself cringing at the thought of dealing with some of those clients because they're very needy or very demanding or just unreasonable? What do you do? Do you refuse to answer the phone calls or respond to the emails? Do you tell your receptionist to say that you are on a long vacation and she doesn't know when you're coming back? Do you just lock the door to your office? What do you do? Hi, I'm Sharon Christie, founder and CEO of Bold Women Lawyers and author of the Bold Women Lawyers Solo Success Guide. I can't tell you how many times I've had conversations with my fellow women lawyers about the frustrations they have with these types of clients. And I want to tell you about a recent conversation I had with a woman attorney who has a bankruptcy practice. Now, we'll call her Joan. And Joan had a client who really was a problem. The client was very needy. The client would call her with lots of questions about the bankruptcy process. But if she didn't get an answer within 30 minutes, she would be calling back and then she'd start to email. And this would keep up and up and up until the client got an answer. Not only that, Joan found that the client then balked at giving her some of the documentation that she needed for the bankruptcy and to move the case forward. And she had a terrible time getting the information out of her client. And she also found that the client, when she would provide the necessary information or paperwork, would always do it at the very last minute. Joan was completely on edge dealing with this client, and she felt exhausted. She even felt exhausted at the thought of talking to this client and trying to work through her case. But I told Joan, listen, it doesn't have to be this way. Clients should not be sucking the life out of you. So you have to start right from the very beginning, setting the proper expectations. And you have to remember that it is your responsibility to set those expectations and to set those boundaries. So let's take a look at Joan's problems one by one and see a more effective way to deal with them. The very first problem was the client's expectation that her questions would be answered immediately. Now, clients certainly should have an expectation that their questions will be answered. That's not unreasonable. It is unreasonable to think that you will get an immediate answer. And I know we live in an age of immediate information, immediate responses, but it can't work that way in your law practice. So how do you deal with that? You set a different expectation right from the very beginning. You tell the client, yes, you will get an answer to your questions, and tell the client that you understand that the biggest complaint about lawyers, no matter what the area of practice, is that he or she does not respond to my phone calls or my emails. Tell the client that they will get an answer within one business day. Now, that's very reasonable. It gives you time to respond, or someone on your staff can respond, depending on what the question is. But set that expectation from the very beginning, and then you will not find yourself being bombarded by constant phone calls and emails because the client knows there will be an answer, but it's going to take some time. It will not come right away. The thing that you have to keep in mind is just because the phone is ringing or just because an email comes in, that does not mean that you have to respond right away. And at some level, we do all have a tendency to want to jump and respond. You have to learn to reduce that feeling, that urgency that you might feel to respond. You have to train yourself not to do that. You will get to it in a timely manner, The client knows you will get to it in a timely manner and you need to just move on. Because what happens if you don't? What happens if you allow yourself to get sucked into that routine of I'm responding right away, I'm responding right away? What happens is that it kills your productivity during the day. You can count on the fact that it will take you 2 to 3 times longer to prepare for that deposition or to write the brief or to draft the documents or whatever it is you're trying to do and accomplish during the day. It's going to take you 2 to 3 times longer because interruptions kill your productivity. So don't let that happen. Now, the second problem that Joan had was the client was actually balking at providing certain documentation. And you can't represent someone without the necessary information from the client. But again, this is solved by setting the expectations right from the very beginning. So how would you do it in a case like this? From day one, I would provide the client with a list of the documents that they will be expected to produce or the information that they will be expected to produce throughout the course of the case. And I would review it with the client to find out right away, do they have any problem providing this information? Now, in the work that I do as a disability lawyer, this is generally not an issue because people are talking about their health and their doctors. But I do know that in other areas of practice, when you're getting into sensitive financial information, for example, there may be some reluctance on the part of a client to reveal that information. You need to help them to understand from day one why it's important to the case, why you will need it, and make sure that they not only understand that, but are going to be willing to provide you with the information. And if it turns out that they're balking right from the beginning, that's a sign to you. This is not a client you're probably going to want to deal with because you will not be able to get the information that you need, and you're not going to be able to successfully represent them, and you're going to be very frustrated in the process. So don't do that to yourself. Lay it out in the beginning. If the client has a problem with it, then he or she can talk to another lawyer and see if they work differently. But make sure you set your expectations out for the client right from the very beginning. Now, the third problem that Joan had with this client was that everything was coming at the last minute. Sometimes that happens, but particularly if you're getting a lot of information at the last minute, but you need time to review it, et cetera, that's not going to work well for you. So how do you fix this right from the start? Provide the client a timeline. Give them a general idea of what the steps are in the process, whatever the case is about or the engagement is about. What are the steps? What's expected of them at each step? And how long will it take? Now, none of this is set in stone. It can't be. But you can give clients general guidelines as to how long they will have, say, to produce financial information and when you're going to need it, so that they know from day one, this is the timeline, and they need to understand that they have to work that into their schedule if you are going to be successful in representing them. Client education is extremely important in legal cases and in law practice. I think we lawyers tend not to think of it that often because this is what we do every day. We're used to it. But you have to understand that for the client, this is all brand new. They've never done this before. They don't know what to expect. And the more you can educate them on the process and what's expected of them, the better your relationship will be with the client, and the more successful you will be in representing them. So start from day one, from the day that they hire you, to make sure you've set effective client boundaries, but you've also provided good education so that they understand why you're asking for certain things when you ask for them, and that they will cooperate and give you the help that you need. Setting these boundaries is extremely important to a successful law practice. And there are other key factors in having a thriving solo or small firm practice. Now, if you're ready to have a successful six-figure plus solo or small firm practice and you want some guidance, go to my website at boldwomenlawyers.com and download my solo success guide. You can get it right there, and you're going to learn lots of things when you read it. But some of the things include why women lawyers have so much difficulty at times engaging clients, and how that, of course, can lead to financial ruin. The system that I set up to get a steady stream of great clients, and how you can do the same thing in your practice, and how you can set up a system that will free you from all of the busy work, but very important administrative tasks that must be done for a law firm to thrive. So you get it at boldwomenlawyers.com. It's the Solo Success Guide. You can go there right now and download it. If you're ready to go deeper, to evaluate your law practice and learn how to solve your biggest problems, then a VIP law practice intensive may be what you're looking for. You can go to my website and book a discovery call, and let's talk about how we might work together to help you build the law practice of your dreams. So check it out, both the Solo Success Guide and the Discovery Call at boldwomenlawyers.com. And be sure to come back here next week for another success tip.